and we have 3 this month, which is a higher number than we are used to. The first one is HPCA 15-00112 at 204 Northwest 20th Street, Heritage Hills East, Ward 6. And this is actually Heritage Hills, not Heritage Hills East. Received Historic Preservation Commission comments regarding structures in the process of being declared dilapidated, as initiated by the City of Oklahoma City Development Services Code Enforcement, pertaining to properties that contribute to the historic integrity of the historic district, and 2, effective proposed demolition on structure of the historic character of the property and district. And I'll refresher, I know we've had a couple of dilapidated structures come through lately, but that when a property is going through the city's dilapidated process, the commission does not get to approve or deny that demolition. We only make a recommendation to City Council on the integrity of the structure, its significance and contribution to the character of the district.
Greg, I have a question for you. You said this one, if I understood correctly, is owned by a bank?
Yes.
So I wonder...
And the county legal still has the previous owner's name on it.
Right.
And I'm still writing her citations.
And the address is shown as that physical address, but clearly she doesn't live there.
No, but I found out where she works at, so I've been sending them there.
Okay, good for you.
Private eye. Appreciate the extra work.
But I'll probably go ahead and add, I think that at court she can show the documents where she's let the house go back to the bank and she's probably getting out of the citations. I haven't checked to see if she's paid them or not, but that's the only enforcement I can do until, if the bank would answer one of the many phone calls from the neighbors that are trying to, purchase it. Would be lovely.
Do you know which bank it is?
Deutsche Bank. It's if you go to the county's website, you can do a property search, and off the county legal, you add the neighborhood, and then the lot and the block, and it will give you a record. You can see the same thing I see.
Okay.
So, Katie, is there some intervention in this one, or have you heard, or?
On this one, we're not aware. I don't think I know anything more than Greg does. We know that the neighborhood has, for a long time, been trying to find a way to purchase the home and get it into the hands of someone who would restore it, but has not been able to reach the entity that they need to purchase it from. So it's just, they've been unresponsive.
So again, what triggers this process? Complaint?
Complaints, yeah, and then I think follow-up inspections from code enforcement.
Greg, could you explain where the tipping point is?
Yeah.
Where it actually goes to, and who makes the decision? We're just going to, this house needs to be torn down.
City Council.
The City Council.
But they will be the final vote. And
right, but I mean...
Who makes a decision to submit it to
right, to submit it.
If I get a complaint, and if I go out and inspect the property and I see that there is significant damage, holes in roof, walls, rotting foundation, anything that, for example, could endanger the public, if it could fall over onto the neighboring property, etc., public endangerment's chief primary concern. And then we'd initiate the process. Part of the process is bringing it here for your comments before we deliver it to the City Council so they'll know what they're dealing with. Yes, this is a historic building, per y'all say if it's significant or not. And our chief building inspector, he evaluates all that information to see how, aggressively we need to do something or not. It's not leaning, it's not, it just has holes in the roof. It's only going down. It's not getting any better. Now the garage, some of the questions that came in the past was, what about the garage? The garage is in good shape. It's got some property maintenance concerns, but it is not dilapidated. We have to open the case up for the entire property so that we could, if we have to, we can remove anything on the property. And in this case, if we had to do something, we might take just the house and not the garage. Those questions, that would be up to the chief building inspector to determine.
Has the policy changed? Because it just seems like that here we are, all of a sudden we're getting these on houses that have been in the neighborhood for quite some time with the same condition, but all of a sudden we're getting demolition requests.
I'm getting a lot of requests. Over the last year, I don't know what has changed, if it's just public knowledge or the convenience of the app on the phone where people can turn in complaints that they see, take photos, and chat with Action Center on what they see, and then it refers to me on the complaint. And then my response is posted on there for them on and how to contact me if they don't like why I said yes or no to something. There's a lot of people that are flippers that are developing, and they are turning stuff in like mad. I get complaints in
For the
certain areas
purpose of-
every day.
For the purpose of, it's next to their property, that
I don't
affecting
know.
the property, they're,
I don't know the reasoning. Maybe they want to put hardship on the people who owns it so they can force them to sell it, or
I
try
have
to
another-
increase the values of their homes next door, or...
I have another question. You said that the chief person in your office makes that decision. Is there, when y'all decide, when he's making that decision, is the being in a historic district a part of that decision? Or is it just,
No.
that's just none of the decision?
No, not really.
really.
Not in our department. Like I said, we're looking at it as public safety.
Is there any way, the county used to take property and, they would actually end up with the property itself. There's not a way that it could be acquired by the city if people are wanting to purchase properties?
It's usually
instead
for
of-
unpaid tax, isn't it?
What?
I just looked at, because I had that same thought as well, and the county can take the property if the taxes are in arrears for 4 years, and the
Right.
taxes are current, they've been paid to
Right.
date.
And the liens, like the property where you said okay to pay, every time I have to do something on the property and a lot of liens builds up and there's a lot of cost against it, the
Right.
county will seize the property to recoup their money also.
Okay, it might seem though in this, since you've said that it's going back to the bank, I would think, I don't know, maybe the lot itself would serve to finish the mortgage.
Yeah.
It seems like when it goes back to the bank, that the bank would want to, if they could sell it, it seems like they would. They wouldn't want to get rid of their asset, depending on what was owed. In some cases, I know the property owner is, there's no mortgage, so
Right.
it's a little different. It was neglected, and then it's
Well,
really not that big a loss.
There's a big demand for vacant lots.
Right.
For infill houses, and this could be another reason people are turning in.
Right,
unpaid
it
houses,
seems like
hoping
that, yeah.
to End up with a cheap lot.
And they're doing it, and I'm getting inundated with them, and they're just,
Right.
a
This
lot of them
brings
are
up-
nonsense, and some of them are just, they're constant, and I can tell by the verbiage, and they're turning them in incorrectly, like they'll say it's a zoning complaint, and this doesn't mean historic code, doesn't mean, in areas that isn't historic. That they're trying to force me to take action
Interesting.
Right.
more
The
than
other,
necessary.
we can talk about it maybe later, but on the lot thing, it does say that if you have proof of the original, what was there originally, what is there not to stop us from making people build back what was there?
Rebuild.
We actually can document that house was there.
Well, people may not know that. I have one question about the report. They don't say why it was deemed to be dilapidated, that I can see.
This house?
Well, any of these
Well,
reports.
this one here, for example, the holes in the roof.
But it doesn't say in our report.
No.
Yours?
And the report changed about 3 years ago when the city updated its computer system. We use a new computer system that is it's all-inclusive with the other building inspectors. And it just produces this generic report here of properties that were visited or had a complaint issued. Probably no violation or violation. We've got it to where it includes citations.
Oh,
But it's not in great detail.
The staff report that we get, I don't
Oh, that's the staff report that we prepare, and we generally don't go into detail about the condition of the house because that's not what the commission is being asked to comment on.
Right, good.
Katie,
That's
you're
interesting.
just responding that is
You
there
can
enough
post
historic material for the integrity to remain?
Yes. Sometimes we have had, accessory structures and things that were clearly not historic anyway, where the commission, had the private property owner come in and applied for demolition, we would have approved it as not being historic fabric. But in all three of these cases, we felt like the integrity was still there.
Okay. Any more comments, questions for Greg or a motion?
I move that we forward the following comments. Primary dwelling structure retains its historic integrity and contributes to the historic integrity of the district, and demolition of the dwelling structure will have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district.
Second. Moved by Neela Clements and seconded by Jeff Parks. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's recommended. Is that what it officially was recommended? No. Yeah, with those comments. Next.
HPCA 15-00116 at 117 Northwest 28th Street, Jefferson Park, Ward 2. Received Historic Preservation Commission comments regarding structures in the process of being declared dilapidated as initiated by the City of Oklahoma City Development Services Code Enforcement pertaining to 1, properties that contribute to the historic integrity of the historic district, and 2, effect a proposed demolition of structure on the historic character of the property and district.
Greg, you said this one, the owner was trying to...
That picture
have it?
right there, for example, that structure on the back was removed. To the right is the pile of bricks that fell off into this neighbor's driveway where the truck is. I was out there today, and I went ahead and posted it. Even though we had this dilapidated case, I posted it for no CA. They changed the front door. Roofs are not included, and the roof is complete now, so that part is fixed. But they went ahead and tore off that thing on the back that was kind of an add-on. So I'm making them get a CA and just kind of making them aware that anything that they're going to do, they're going to need to address with the CA. But they're attacking it pretty aggressively, so I don't think. This is something where the chief building inspector, even though y'all say historically significant or not, and the city council, for the sake of public endangerment, would give us permission to take action if we need to, then the building inspector would address the work that's being done. And if the contractor there, or whoever owns it, is doing the repairs and gives him a plan, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and he's following it, he will allow them time to do it. It's only when there's nothing being done when we have to step in. So they're really doing something here.
So you're saying that they have a plan to
They do.
rehab it?
The only obstacle is the title is still kind of, the title is in there's a discrepancy on the ownership. So I don't know how much that's going to hold them up, but the contractors there today, they've got a roof on it, and they're repointing some of the brick. And
So you're saying that between this action and city council, if same situation, the owner can go to city council, or you would go to city council and report to them when this came up on the agenda, that even though it's before them, that in the meantime, between now and then, before it goes to city council, that work is being done and that you all have a plan, and so at that point, city council would not go forward with the demolition?
No, they're going to see it as we present it and when it was dilapidated, and they're going to give us permission.
Okay.
They're just going to read your comment as basically a yes or no, historically significant or not.
Right.
And then we will make that decision. If there's work being done, if somebody owns it and spending money, we're not going to go tear it down if they're trying to fix it.
Okay. I think we're just trying to get at the process, and I think you've answered the question. So even though it goes before city council and they approve for demolition, it's really left up to code enforcement. So if after that action is taken by city council and the owner meets with you and presents a plan, as long as something's happening, the demolition is not going to occur. I think what we're thinking
Correct.
is, as soon as city council says yes, somebody's going to go out there and do the demolition. You're saying as long as you're being contacted and work is being done on the property, then it's not going to be demolished.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And it will have to be more than slapping some paint
Right.
on some few boards.
Right.
Okay.
I understand that. But in this case, it will probably go to city council. They will give you permission, but as long as they continue to perform to their plan, the house will not be demolished.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
You all
And
do
just-
have a letter from a neighbor, just to note at your seats, commenting on the condition of the house.
This kind of goes back to my question earlier on the code enforcement report, where you have a third citation and they get a 30-day extension. Clearly, this has been going on. This house has been in a dilapidated condition for many years. The letter from the neighbor says he's lived there since 2000. That's 15 years. How long do they get? I mean, if they do, they repair the roof, they put a new door on. At what point does code enforcement say, okay, we're going to leave them alone, it's fixed?
Well, in the past, we'd issue a citation, and let me repeat, our goal with the city is compliance. We just want it fixed. We're not making any money. With what we spend on man hours and all of this, the citation is nothing. So we're just trying to get somebody to do something, and if we have to write a ticket, then that's what we do. Lately, with the abandoned housing aspect of the game, we've been more aggressive on the property maintenance tickets. We're going, okay, somebody's going to start addressing it, and we're going to write tickets until they do. And so they're coming at a pretty quick rate, unless they're doing something. If they're doing work. Now, for the years, for example, I've been working with the lady that lived here for 6 years. She had an application into housing assistance. Okay, that stopped the citation process while she was applying. But because of that, like I mentioned before, the unclear title, there was a holdup. It took time to get it cleared so she could get in her name to get the process. So it just kind of sat there for a little while. But right now, since she's not there and the new owners have taken possession, we've stepped up and started writing tickets, and now it's before you as a DB. But as aggressive as they are at trying to fix it, it probably will stop. Now, as soon as y'all are finished here, and then after the 10 days required by code for anybody to appeal the decision, as soon as that is done and the documents received by my department, then we put it on the next docket that goes to City Council. And that's because of public endangerment.
So, Greg, are you really saying that demolition is it's really a threat at the end? I mean, once City Council says that, then that's kind of your biggest...
that is our biggest club, you might say.
Right, right. So that at that point, it's either do or not. Okay.
And we're only doing it because we have to.
Yes.
And public safety is number one.
I've got a question for the review, City Council. They don't review all these individually, do they? Seems like there's a consent docket of dilapidated structures.
It's not a consent docket.
Or what is it?
But typically, unless someone appears to present on one of the items, they can move that whole section. Like,
Right.
for example, item 8A.
So some are HP, some are not HP,
I
some
believe they
say...
do pull out the HP ones. I believe they do a separate list
They are.
for ones that are within historic districts.
That's my
But
other
they-
question, because
yeah.
otherwise you're just grouped with everything else.
But they can pull any item
That's
at
right.
any time.
Yep, and they do sometimes.
Yeah.
And they have.
Yeah.
And they may. But that's
Okay.
not my call.
Any more comments or motion on this item, case?
I move that we forward the following comments. The primary structure retains its historic integrity and contributes to the historic integrity of the district, and the demolition of the primary structure will have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Neil Crane Clemens and seconded by George Massey. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that one's recommended also. There's one more.
Okay. HPCA 15-00117 at 2820 North Robinson Avenue, Jefferson Park, Ward 2. Receive Historic Preservation Commission comments regarding structures in the process of being declared dilapidated as initiated by the City of Oklahoma City Development Services Code Enforcement pertaining to 1, properties that contribute to the historic integrity of the historic district, and 2, effect of proposed demolition of structure on the historic character of the property and district.
All right. We'll just go right to a motion, Neela? The back
Greg,
of it
do you have
is-
any updates on this property?
Well, the
Like
photos
chair?
show it all. Look at the roof underneath right there. See how he's replaced it?
Yep.
3 years ago, he put $70,000 in it. This was they live caddy corner across the street, and this is their retirement dream home. And the inside's all new framing, walls, flooring, and everything else. And then when you get to the photo of the back,
Yeah.
where he stopped at, and I assume he ran out of funding, was he didn't finish the roof properly. So we have a lot of water coming in, and now the back facade is falling off. He just couldn't get to the finish line.
Past tense.
Do you know if he's looked into any sort of grant program with the city?
I do not.
This is Jefferson Park.
Have you worked with them recently?
No. Every time that we've spoken in the past, we bring up the housing assistance, et cetera. We're not allowed to bring that documentation. You have to physically go in and apply, so it's not discriminatory in any way. I don't know if he's looked into that or not. If he's a senior citizen, he's more apt to have more funding available, but there hasn't been anything done recently to the house. So.
Thank you.
What does recently mean? How long has it been since?
Like I said, there was a time period I didn't have eyes on it because I was gone.
Yeah, right.
And then, when I returned, the back wall's laying in a pile on the ground. So
I can tell you that that ladder at the second story is in that exact same location and several years' worth of
years
county
of
assessor
photos.
photos.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That has
Mine
not
too.
moved an inch, so.
And right underneath above the door, there's the biggest wasp nest you've ever seen. It's the size of a dinner plate. I got to dodge it every time I go up there and post a notice.
Okay.
And I would recommend that we forward the following comments. The primary structure retains its historic integrity and contributes to the historic integrity of the district, and that demolition of the primary structure will have an adverse effect on the historic character of the district.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Neela Craig Clements and seconded by Ann Zackwitz. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, it's recommended also. Thank you, Greg. Consent docket. No,
Yeah.
National Register